Hi, it's Hans at ahappierman.com. Today I want to talk about strength standards. So I do have an article about this, a fairly long article on the website. But what I'm trying to get at with the strength standards is what are some baseline strength totals you might want to try to get to so you know when to quit and back off and avoid the injury. You know, because if you don't know how strong is, you might always be pushing yourself to try to get stronger, but you're already strong enough. So what are some of those, and why do I say all this? You know, because I've talked about, you know, some of my injuries. I've gotten hurt lifting many times, and I know a lot of you guys get hurt lifting, and sometimes you get hurt so bad it's devastating and it screws up your whole life. So let's not do that. Let's try not to screw up your life. You know, the world is set up to punish men at every turn. So if you're gonna, you know, try not to punish yourself too. So what are some of those strength standards? Well, you know, right now I'm trying to get that 1,000-pound total, right? If I add up the deadlift, the bench, and the squat, and add up their total weight, I'm trying to get to 1,000 pounds, which is, you know, a little over 400 on the deadlift, mid 300s on the squat, and high 200s on the bench. You know, for some reason I've never had a great bench. You know, I have deadlifted quite a bit and squatted okay, but yeah, I'm working on those. And this is for, you know, multiple reps. You know, not just one rep. You know, I'm trying to work 3 to 4 to 5 reps on these lifts. So when I'm working out, I'm trying to get that 3 to 4 to 5 on those big lifts. So let's just dive into it. So that's the strength standard, right? High 200s on the bench, mid 300s on the squat, low 400s on the deadlift. To me, that's pretty strong. For a 50-some-odd-year-old guy, I mean, that's pretty strong. For a younger man, when you're lifting, you won't see a lot of younger guys throwing around that kind of weight. You know, maybe they'll have one of those lifts will be pretty good, but rarely all three, and they're rarely going to be throwing around bigger weights on everything else too. You know, for example, your bent rows ought to be, with a barbell, ought to be almost as big as your bench for those same reps. That's basically what I do. I do a bench and I do a bent row, and the bent row I'm trying to keep to that same bench press weight for those same reps, or maybe more. You know, your back is a lot bigger than your chest. It ought to be pretty darn strong. And I rarely see people bent rowing. Of course, I've learned how to bent row properly from Athlete X, which is a great website, by the way, a great channel, where you put the bar a little below your knees on a rack and pull it off of the rack rather than the ground. You don't have to bend over so far. It puts you in the perfect position, and you can get those bigger weights, and your back will get much stronger and denser and thicker and stronger. You want your back to be like a big oak door behind you, you know, and it's pretty easy to think about building your back when you think about if somebody shoots you in the back, you've got a lot back there, so hopefully you live. I know it's kind of a weird thing, but I always think about strength as a save myself type of thing, rather than always about vanity. Plus, you know, I think you look better with a big back. It's thick, makes your shirts look better, and all of that. What else is a big lift? Well, the overhead pressing, you know, as taught by Starting Strength, that's a nice lift. You know, you should be mid 100s in that. It's hard to lift a lot of weight over your head, to tell the truth. Very hard. Certainly the high 200s would make you as strong as unbelievably strong, but not many people are going to be able to do that. You're not going to see that much. But certainly in the mid 100s for 3 to 5 reps, the way the Starting Strength teaches you that lift. Another big lift is the rack. No, let's go to the rack. Let's go to the shrugs. Yeah, with the shrug, you ought to be able to shrug well over 400 pounds, maybe over 500 pounds in decent form for quite a few reps, 5 and up. There's a lot of, you're going to need straps. Your hands are never going to be strong enough for your traps. Use straps, but that's a nice lift. You got to be careful on that too. One big set, one heavy set of that is plenty. It's going to put tremendous stress on your joints, on your wrists, on your elbows, on your shoulders. It's going to want to pull them out of their sockets. So don't go overboard with high reps and high multiple sets on the shrugs. Another good one is the rack pull, which the rack pull is just basically the top movement of the deadlift, and it's very satisfying because you can rack pull a lot more than you can deadlift. So if you can deadlift 400 pounds, you ought to be able to rack pull 600 pounds. It's going to be satisfying as heck to do so. Again, don't go overboard on the number of reps and then multiple sets. Do that big set and quit. Those are some big numbers, right? What about else? Barbell curls, or an easy bar curl. It's going to be pretty tough to get much over 100 pounds on that. Those are just so hard on your wrists and your elbows. With your biceps, you're probably going to have to be more satisfied with less weight, a little bit higher reps, and a few more sets, more pumping. It's going to be, for some reason, that's really, really hard on your wrist. If you got 100 pounds on your wrist, it's going to want to jack them up pretty severely. So be careful with big dumbbell and big barbell curls. A line tricep extension. I talked about that, how that I hurt myself a few years ago, but that does lend itself to fairly big weights, over 100 pounds. You'll have a 45-pound plate on each side with the easy curl. That's 90. It has to be 105. And then if you can probably put a couple of 10s on there, that's a lot of weight on your elbows and wrists too. So do that one set, and you're probably going to be less than that for a little higher reps. Another one to do are the leg presses. Sometimes you're not going to be able to squat, but you can load up that leg press in 500, 600, 700 pounds. And I like to do the leg presses for more higher reps. I look like I can probably leg press well over 1,000 pounds for a nice deep set, but I don't like to have to get all the plates. So I'd rather go 700 pounds and maybe get 12 to 20 reps. And that you're going to be huffing and puffing after that one, and your legs are going to be very, very strong and pumped from that. But again, just that one heavy set. That's on that angled leg press machine, kind of the classic one that's built for building tremendous leg power. Kind of that use that same weight for your calf raises, sitting in the leg press machine for multiple reps, 12 to 20. I wouldn't go that much higher, more weight than that, unless you're young, and because it is a lot of pressure on your lower back, and you don't want to snap that or strain that. And you got it. Don't go so very, very deep on that. What's another one? The squat. I forgot all about the squat. Mid 300s. I guess the last one I did 305 for I think three reps, and that's deep, starting strength style. Below parallel, but my legs are very strong from the leg pressing, but it's very hard to put a lot of weight on your upper back and strains on your elbows and wrists. So that's kind of your limiting factor. But you just keep working at the squat. if you can squat well over 300 pounds below parallel, you're going to be flexible enough, and you're going to be very strong, and it's hard to imagine yourself dying if you can still do that when you're 80 years old. Another one, the bench. Well, I guess the high 200s. The higher the bench, the better you're gonna get a bigger chest. But it's hard, very hard to get that giant bench. You got to be a little bit shorter. So anyway, those are some of those strength standards that I'm working toward, that I write about, and give that a little thought. Bye.